throne of long-dead King Nigel, surrounded by jewels and treasure, but rumoured to be inscribed on the back with words that are perhaps not the most pleasing to a particular faction of sky-faring Dwarden. That is why, as we look over here, you can see there is a batch, a fresh, juicy battalion of Kharadron Overlords who are making their way into this area to ensure that the unstable ground this throne is housed on envelops it and sucks it deep into the ground, so that no one may ever read that sacrilegious text that goes against a Kharadron code. However, King Nigel was also the owner of quite a magnificent Sigmarite artifact, and with the news that it's begun sinking into the swamp in the middle of the snowy waste, the Stormcast Eternals have also dispatched a force in an attempt to retrieve that artifact before he sinks. So their objective is completely at odds with the Kharadron Overlords, and there's going to be a vicious coming together of these two opposing forces on the battlefield as they struggle for control of the relic. That means, folks, that we're doing the Seize the Relic skirmish scenario from the Age of Sigmar skirmish book, in which both sides will be attempting to have as many models as possible within 3 inches of the altar by the end of battle round number 5. Whoever has more models there will win. But not only that, the main twist on this particular scenario is that both sides will also be escaping the edge of the battlefield, where a magical storm is rolling in, unstable earth, which will dish out mortal wounds to anyone too close to it, and that area of peril actually stretches out as the game goes on, so the only safe space is within this slime sanctuary, with the slime pools and a couple of ruined walls where the altar is located. So both sides will be making a beeline for this region as fast as possible. So let's go over the forces. On the side of the Stormcast Eternals, you can see here that we have the Lord Relictor, who is the leader. Next to him, we have a Retributor. On the steps of the Dragonfate dais, we have a Judicator. And then we have 3 Liberators, one of which is a Liberator Prime. And that is the entire force. That is worth 42 renown. And before we go through the Kharadron forces, here is the Kharadron commander for this battle. It's of course Joe, who's waving enthusiastically. So here are the forces of the Kharadron Overlords. We have an Arcanaut Admiral right in the centre there, and he is surrounded by 7 Arcanauts, armed in a variety of ways. We have 3 regular Arcanauts over here, with just their base weaponry, and on this side we have a company captain with a volley pistol, we have 1 Sky Pike, we have 1 Aethermatic volley gun, and 1 Sky Hook, so that is also 42 renown. So both sides will be doing their utmost to reach the altar and retrieve or destroy the relic of their choosing. So we're going to have the roll off now to see who's going to get the choice of first turn. And here we go. And it's a 2 for the Stormcast. And look at that, it's a 6 for the Kharadron Overlords, so they're going to get the choice. So the Kharadron Overlords elected to go first, and they have begun the advance towards the sanctuary zone with the altar and that sacrilegious text that they want to destroy. So you can see that they all ran, which is why there's a bit of inconsistency of their speed here. Some of them have made quite tremendous distance, some of them not quite so much, for example the Admiral. And the Admiral, for his command ability, he has a couple he can choose from on his war scroll, but he elected to use one that he drew in a random table, which will add 1 to the wound rolls of any models within 6 inches of him. So should the Stormcast decide to attack before the next Kharadron Overlord hero phase, then that could come into effect. Anyway, it's going over to the Stormcast now for their first battle round, and we'll see if there's a bit more action from that side. But I have a feeling it's going to get really juicy in the mid to late game here as both sides converge on the Sanctuary. Stormcast Eternals battle round number 1, and most of the models have run. You can see the Lord Relictor and the Retributor are almost at the Wall of Slime. The Lord Relictor, by the way, rolled for a command ability that will allow friendly models nearby to re-roll their save rolls of 1, so that's going to be handy. You can see down here that the 3 Liberators have made up some significant distance here, so I think there's going to be a lot of violence in battle round number 2, whatever happens. And also, the Judicator is perched up onto this Dragonfate dais here, and he can actually see down through this doorway, and the only model he can see is this Kharadron Overlord Archanaut here. But unfortunately, he did hit him but couldn't wound, so no casualties inflicted in the first battle round, so no battle shock. And there are no models within 6 inches of the edge of the 2 deployment zones. Those table edges are perilous indeed, so there's going to be no mortal wounds dished out because of that, which means we're going into battle round number 2, and we're going to have the roll off to see who's going to get the choice of going first. So here's the Stormcast roll, and it is a 5, and the Kharadron Overlords have a 3. Battle round number 2 for the Stormcast Eternals, and there was a fair bit of action. You can see here that the Lord Relictor and the Retributor have moved up towards the slime wall. They didn't run because they don't want to risk running through the slime wall, because when you do pass through the slime on the roll of a 1, you will instantly die. Down here, the Judicator jumped down from the Dragonfate dais, pointed his bow through the gate, and he mercilessly gunned down the Archanaut company captain, so he's dead. Down here, the 3 Liberators moved up and attempted to charge into this little batch of Archanauts here. Only 2 of them made it. You can see that the Liberator Prime didn't. And then when it came down to fighting, this Liberator killed one of them, as you can see there. And then in retaliation, the Archanauts, with their attacks, were able to do 1 wound to this Liberator. So those are the only wounds dished out. Not enough casualties to force any kind of battle shock test at the moment. So we're going to go into the Kharadron Overlords battle round number 2, and they are definitely within range to lay down some serious carnage now. Kharadron Overlords battle round number 2, and you can see there has been untold carnage over here. So everything advanced, not quite up to the wall of slime, and then these nice heavy gunners here, the Athematic Volley Gun in particular did something useful because it actually killed this Liberator, who was down to his final wound, and that finished him off. The Skyhook didn't hit anybody. And then the various pistol attacks didn't do too much, although they did wound this Liberator, and you can see he's now dead as a result of successful charges, and it was mainly the Admiral that did all of it. He was the one that finished him off. He actually did major overkill on him, so that Liberator is dead. And at the end of that turn, there is no one who is within 12 inches of the deployment edges, so no one's going to be sucked in by the terrible storm, and everyone is going to be heading straight towards this altar in battle round number 3, I think. No battle shock required for the Stormcast, even though they took 2 casualties, because the Lord Relictor's bravery is 9, so it'd be impossible to fail it. So we're going to have the roll off to see who's going first in battle round number 3. This could be quite an important one because the forces are so close together. So here is the Stormcast roll. It is only a 1, and the Kharadron Overlords have a 4, so presumably they are going to go first in this round, and that could be very handy for them indeed. Kharadron Overlords in battle round number 3, and there's considerably less carnage than you might have thought, because having cleared out this area in the previous turn, they decided they're going to kind of camp in the slime, knowing that if the Stormcast want to charge into there to get them, then they're going to be dying on the roll of a 1, so they might not take the risk with the limited number of troops that the Stormcast actually have on the battlefield. So they did unleash a shooting barrage. Unfortunately, they weren't actually able to do anything to the Lord Relictor with their heavy weaponry, and over here the various pistol attacks only managed to wound the Liberator Prime. So not too much damage dished out this turn, but they are in a fairly safe position now, and they're well away from the edge of the table, so they're not going to be sucked into the dreaded storm, and they're ready to strike towards the altar in the last couple of turns now. So Stormcast coming up next, let's see how they can respond. Stormcast Eternals in battle round number 3. The Lord Relictor and the Retributor have made their way across the slime, no running going on, and the Lord Relictor was able to use his ability to call in a lightning storm on this poor little Archanaut, so he is dead. Round the back here, the Judicator moved up into position, and he unleashed a fatal arrow all the way over here into the Athematic Volley Gun, so he is also dead. Then down here, the Liberator Prime successfully charged and killed the Archanaut with the Sky Pikes. That's 3 dead Archanauts in one go. And then, unfortunately for him, the Archanaut Admiral then cut him down, so he's toast as well. The Kharadron Overlords passed their battle shock test with a roll of 4 after taking 3 casualties, so they're fine. So there's only 3 models left per side now, and neither side has really made a big push for the altar and the sacred or sacrilegious artifacts yet, but they're going to have to start thinking about that in battle round number 4. So, let's see who is going to go first in that battle round. So here's the Stormcast roll. It is a 2. The Overlords have a 5. Kharadron Overlords in battle round number 4. You can see here that the 2 surviving Arcanauts are gingerly making their way across here towards the sacred or sacrilegious altar, depending how you look at it. And down here, you'll notice that the Admiral actually made it into combat with a charge on the Lord Relictor. And damage was dished out. The actual shooting attacks didn't do too much. I think they only put 1 wound on the Relictor prior to the combat. But then the Admiral smashed another couple of wounds onto him and didn't take anything in return because he made his save. So, still 3 models left per side. The Admiral and the Relictor in a deadly duel for dominance there. And we're going to see exactly what the Stormcast can do about this, because with the model count dwindling on both sides, this objective is going to be extremely sought after, and it's going to be difficult to pile numbers around it since everybody's dead. So here we go, Stormcast Eternals battle round number 4 coming up. The Stormcast Eternals battle round number 4, we have high drama. First of all, the Lord Relictor was able to do a wound to the Arcanaut Admiral with his Lightning Storm. Then the Judicator in the slime fired an arrow all the way over there to the light skyhook carrying Arcanaut, and it skewered him straight through the eyeball, and he's dead. And here the Retributor was able to charge into the Admiral to join in with that combat, and he actually did some damage, put another wound on him. But then the Admiral swung his mighty hammer and killed the Lord Relictor, which means, since the General is dead, the Stormcast are reduced to Bravery 5, and they've taken 1 casualty. For this Battle Shock test here, if I roll a 5, 1 of my models will run away. If I roll a 6, both of them will run away, and the Kharadron Overlords will win. So, here we go. The Kharadron General is looking on, hoping for a 6 here. And here we go. It's a 5, so 1 model is actually going to run away. Oh dear, this is a very terrible turn of events for the Stormcast Eternals here. So the Judicator is so put off by the fact the Lord Relictor is dead that he is just running for the hills, and he is not coming back. He's run right out there into the storm fields. He's so terrified. So he's not coming back, meaning the Stormcast only have a single model left heading into battle round number 5, the last battle round of the game. There are 2 Kharadron Overlord models alive. So we're going to now have the roll-off to see who's going first in battle round number 5, or who has the choice. And the Stormcast roll a 2. And the Kharadron Overlords roll a 6. So, the Kharadron Overlords have of course elected to go first in battle round number 5, and we've got some drama which we're coming to you with now. So, first of all, this little happy chappy Arcanaut here ran towards the altar site, so he is within range of it now. And this battle going on here, if the Admiral fails to kill the Retributor can quite happily walk out of combat and run and get to within 3 inches of this, which would mean it was a draw, and the game would continue until it's no longer a draw, because there would be 1 model each within 3 inches of this. So, if the Retributor dies now, of course, the Stormcast will be all dead or fleeing, and it'll be game over. So, 2 wounds have been inflicted in combat by the Admiral. Nothing was done in the shooting phase. So, the Retributor has 2 6+ saves to make. If he makes 1 of them, then he will live for now and continue the game. If he fails both, then it's game over, and the Overlords will reign supreme. So here we go. 2 dice, need at least 1 6 for him to survive. It's a 2 and a 3, so the Retributor is dead. Ugh! And he's going to be zapped back up into the heavens. Here we go. So back to the heavens he goes, and the Admiral and the sole surviving Arcanaut are now within range of this sacrilegious text that goes firmly against the Kharadron Code, and they're going to watch and maybe just give it a bit of a kick as it slides into the unstable earth as the storm rages around this sanctuary site surrounded by slime. So, victory for the Kharadron Overlords. Stormcast Eternals will be back, reforged by Sigmar, and they will want to take their sweet, sweet golden vengeance.